Hello everyone, this is Fabrilo and welcome to a new video. Game discussion time. I know I haven't done one of these in a while now, but yeah, it's time to talk about the latest game that I finished a couple of days ago. I was just thinking about it because I would say the ending of said game, which I'm going to show you in a moment, requires some thinking, and that's a good thing about it, I would say. But let's not just jump ahead. We're going to talk about Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony on the Vita, of course, as you can see. The latest installment of the amazing Danganronpa series by Spike Chunsoft. The thing with this game, okay, where do I even start? I've played all the Danganronpa series basically last year. So I played Trigger Happy Havoc, Goodbye Despair, and Ultra Despair Girls. Not one after the other, of course, but progressively during the year. And I really became a fan of the series. So it is absolutely one of my favorites on the Vita, even though I think at least this one, Killing Harmony, I'm not sure about the others, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the third game was also available on the PS4, and I have to be honest, I don't see why, other than just to increase sales, because this is certainly not a series that requires to be on the PS4, but of course we know the Vita and its numbers are garbage, at least here in the West, so they have to break even, I suppose. However, other than this, third installment in the mainline games of the Danganronpa series, and I have to say, wow, because the thing is, this is probably, as I will talk about it in more detail later, this is probably, I think, the last Danganronpa game. I don't see, it's a big if they're going to make another one, but I don't see a fourth one in the future, but who knows? But we'll talk about it later. But what I wanted to say is, since this is probably the last installment, what a way to go. What a way to go. So, what's the story? Well, it's a Danganronpa game, so you kind of imagine what is going to happen. A new group of high school students are gathered into this different school, and they're forced to take part to yet another killing game. Basically, just like if you play the other Danganronpa games, you know what to expect. Sooner or later, one of these 16 students, if I remember correctly the number, is going to start killing the others. Then it's your job to basically discover who the culprit is through the class trials, then progress through the story with all the craziness and insanity and over the topness of the Danganronpa series. Not much to add in sense of the general idea of the game, and especially I'm not going to talk too much about the gameplay of V3, simply because it's a Danganronpa game. You know what to expect. Basically, it's a visual novel with a lot of dialogues, and the core gameplay of these games is focused on the class trials, of course. That's where there is some gameplay, because, as I said, for the rest, they're visual novels, so there's not much to say about that. During the class trials, on the other hand, there is some gameplay, mainly in forms of sort of minigames. So, compared with the previous two games, they added some new ones. For example, there is a very fun, I have to admit, at least I like this, racing minigame where you have to race through these tracks and collect basically hints for the questions and then choose the correct answer. It was a neat addition to just spice things up a little, just so that this game doesn't feel exactly the same as the previous two, which in a way it does, because I don't see how much you can change the formula of the Danganronpa games, but also there's the risk of them becoming stale. So that's the damn if you don't, damn if you do, I would say, with the gameplay of these games. But it's not a problem for me. I knew what to expect, and I wasn't disappointed at all, because I love this formula. The main focus of this specific game to me, however, I would say, are the characters, their interaction, and even though of course I try to avoid as much as possible spoilers, it's the twist at the end of the game. As I said, I'm not going to spoil it, I'm not going to too much details, but it is so important for this game specifically, I think. Because I would say that basically up until the final trial, and I say the first third of the final trial, while I was playing it, I was thinking, this might be my favorite Danganronpa game yet. I was really shocked because at first, when I started the game, I was thinking, like, what are they going to do? After the craziness of the first one and the second one, how they can keep the formula not necessarily fresh, but how are they going to keep this interesting, at least to me? And they really did. I think they did a fantastic job up until the end. The ending, I would say it's probably, also if you already watched other videos, I'm sure there are a ton of videos about this. If you see other videos, you probably know that the ending of the game, it's very controversial among the fan base, and I will explain, avoiding spoilers, later. So I would say, up until that moment, I was shocked because while gameplay-wise it's basically the same thing, and you know exactly at this point what to expect. Like, things are going to smooth. Sooner or later, like, a murder is going to happen, and there you go. But at the same time, I love that. I love, like, what, like, crazy ways to kill this character they're going to create. Also because I love investigating in the Danganronpa games. I absolutely love the trials, even though, like, if you like the games, you have to you be prepared, because, like always, the class trials are really long. There's a lot of talking, a lot of mini games, a lot of, like, thinking of what's going on. And I have to say, the logic in the trials felt slightly better in V3 compared especially to Danganronpa 2, I think. Because I remember, like, the first game, Trigger Happy Havoc, was pretty straightforward, at least to me. The second one, sometimes the logic there was, let's say, arguable. Well, in this one, it felt like a return to one in terms of, like, thinking about your answers and during the trials, and I like that. But as I said, it was that's are like minor details, of course, because the guts of the game, they absolutely didn't change. Also, like, graphically and all of that, it's basically nothing's changed. Maybe this is a bit more polite, but polished. I mean, but I was really impressed by this game, mainly because, to me, it has some of the most emotional moments in the whole series that I really didn't expect. I mean, there are amazing moments in the first and second game. I absolutely love Ultra Despair Girls, but I really wasn't, not prepared, but I really didn't expect powerful moments. For example, I'll avoid spoilers, but just to say, like, the moments with Kaede and Kaito and the development of the main characters. I'll say, with this, it was done at its best, I would say. So the game has some of my favorite characters in the whole series. I absolutely loved Maki. She's probably my favorite character in the entire series. Kaito was amazing. Kokichi was a great villain. You really wanted to hate him so much. Great job. Shuichi is a nice character. Kaede is great. So, and of course, like always, there's Monokuma still in the show. Although, in here is joined by 5. Yeah, I think 5 Monocubs, like smaller version of himself, like very, like, different themes. and I didn't really see the reason for them. I didn't see the point of them being there, but that was maybe that's just me. But again, it felt just like adding them just to see that, oh no, it's not just Monokuma, there are other 5 little Monokumas, but they're kind of useless in the grand scheme of things of the game, to me. Even by the end, I was still thinking, why are they here? What are they adding to this game? Not much, to be honest. Yes, there is a reason why they're, but if it's just that, they're pretty pointless, if I have to be honest. What else? Where I was going? But again, I absolutely love Monokuma. He is a great mascot in this. Probably one of the best mascots of this last couple of years, I would say. How can you beat that bear? One thing that I like and didn't like at the same time in this game is the voice acting. Meaning, compared with the previous Danganronpa games, this is entirely translated. It's entirely English voice acted, and it works and it doesn't work. Meaning that it depends on the characters. Certain characters have really good voice actors, and I really like them. Certain characters not so much, and I think my least favorite was Monokuma. It was so weird because he has this voice, and he sounds like Mickey Mouse, but a Mickey Mouse that wants to kill you and torture you. It was so weird. Maybe that's the point, as I said, because it's a Danganronpa game, but I was like, this is such an odd choice. It's like a killer Mickey Mouse. So I don't know, that was a bit weird, but overall the voice acting, especially for the human characters, was pretty good. Some better than others, but pretty good. Nothing spectacular, and honestly I would have preferred like the Japanese voice like in the previous games. So again, not a big deal, it's just a detail, and it works and doesn't at the same time. So you have, however, and we're getting to the big part here, so you have these amazing characters, and sometimes you have these amazing, incredible emotional moments. Also because the game, as a plus to these moments, you have a really good soundtrack, which it's nothing new from Danganronpa. They always have an amazing soundtracks, and V3 is no exception. This music was amazing. But what really killed me was the Debussy piano theme that they play on certain occasions. And one day on YouTube I was searching for a specific theme in the game, and then I found that piano theme. Went there and hearing that and reading the comments as well, because I cannot tell you what happened and why it's important, that specific piano theme. But I wasn't crying, but I could feel like a choke in my throat. I was like, oh my god, this is so emotional, thinking about what happened to these characters. Such a great moment. I mean, as I said, between this specific moment I'm hinting about and a later one, I was really blown away by this game. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be my favorite. I cannot believe we're finally surpassing the first one, because to me, Trigger Happy Havoc up until this moment was my favorite, because the second one was great, but in the grand scheme of things I prefer the first one, maybe for the setting. The island didn't exactly work for me. I mean, it was good, but not as good as a school. In here, you're once again into a school, so in a way, maybe some people might not like it. It's not the same, it's a bit different. I love it, especially at the beginning, when it's like filled with plants and nature. Basically, it's reclaiming this school, so you're thinking, what is happening? What is this place? It's like abandoned from hundreds of years. It's so weird, with the huge barbed wire on the windows, which it's not the same as the metal plates with the huge screw that I love so much from the first game. But again, those are details, of course. But I like, in general, I prefer a closed environment in a Danganronpa game compared to the island. I prefer the claustrophobic setting. I think, thinking about it, for certain aspects, I prefer the original school, Hope's Peak, to this one, while this one has elements that I really liked. And with all of this, let's move to the big controversy, the ending. Of course, as I said, I try to avoid as much as possible any spoilers. But if you've played the previous Danganronpa game, you've come to expect that by the end, there's going to be a big twist. There was one in the first one that I surely didn't see coming. There's another one in the second one, which is very good and arguably, I would say, maybe even better than the first twist. I really liked it. And here you have, like, as I said, you're at the final trial, something new came up, and there's this huge reveal, and you're about to frame the big culprit and say everything, it's clear now. And it made sense, like, with that specific character being the culprit. I really like, oh, that's perfect, you didn't see it coming, it has the means, but all of a sudden there's the twist. And what a twist, I have to say. I didn't see it coming at all. So on the one hand, it was very well done, because, as I said, I surely didn't expect them to go that way. But at the same time, I think they went too far. I would like to be more specific and tell you guys what happened, because I would love to hear your opinions, but maybe you can write it down in the comments if you've played the game, and definitely let me know what you think. But personally, I liked it and I didn't like it at the same time, because on the one hand, it was a very interesting direction for the story with that spoiler, and how can I say it? I mean, minor spoiler here, just say, with breaking the fourth wall in that way, I have to say this, it was really unexpected. It kind of works, but at the same time say, are you really going this way? There's no return from this, because the problem is that it basically excludes any possibility for a sequel. I mean, you cannot have a Danganronpa 4 after this. Not at all. And it makes sense. Because reading online, after I finished the game, I started to read like forums and stuff like this, and I discovered, I didn't know that, because it's not that I'm always like scouring the internet for video game news or specific infos. Basically, the I suppose he's the leader, the key figure of Team Danganronpa, Kodaka. I think he's the lead writer of these games. He's kind of tired of Danganronpa. He wants to move on and do something different. That's fine. And for what I understand, he basically have worked exclusively on Danganronpa games for the past 10 years, basically. And he wants to move on. That's fine. So that means, as I said before, V3, it's probably going to be the last Danganronpa, at least the main Danganronpa game. If not for a while, I mean, if not forever, at least for a while. So we'll see what happened there. I've read there are some possibility of Spike chance of doing some spin-offs, just because it's a very, very popular series. Like, I've read a lot of people mentioning fighting games. That seems like a shameless, cash cow in a way, like try to squeeze as much cash from the series as possible. But maybe it's going to be amazing. Like, for example, I think there is a Persona 4 fighting game, and maybe that's good. I have no idea, but maybe they're going to do the same thing with all the Danganronpa characters. Like, my personal secret dream, like pipe dream, is a sort of Danganronpa strategy RPG. I would love that. I have no idea how they're going to do it, and I'm sure they're not going to do that. but that would be amazing. In a way, like the Devil Survivors game, that kind of style of games, without demons, of course. Of course, I would love another episode, like a sequel to Ultra Despair Girls, or something like that. I would love that, because that was a really good game, but it's very unlikely, I would say. And also, the Team Danganronpa is working on a new IP, and they basically just started, so that's going to be their main focus. That's Zanki Zero, which is a proper RPG, so definitely check that out. It looks very interesting. All of this to say, it's highly unlikely we're going to see a new Danganronpa game in the foreseeable future. Definitely not a mainline game. Spin-offs and just attempts to milk the franchise, maybe, but that's not really the same thing, I would say. But I also remember, like, the reason why I say this kind of ending was very, very controversial. It's because I remember watching a video on YouTube of a guy saying that to him this ending was absolute trash. I was like, okay, that sounds very harsh as a judgment. Because while it's, as I said before, maybe it's going a bit too far, but it might be an attempt to end the series. It's not trash. I think it's done in an interesting way, and it fits the craziness of the story. But it was complaining about being too lazy. Yeah, like always, I would like to see him creating and writing for a video game, but that's another story. But then, especially for what I understood, he said, like, I've played the game up until the first trial, then I have a glitch, returned the game, and read the ending online, and I hate it. I mean, what? That doesn't count. You haven't experienced the game. How can you judge the ending just by reading it? Plus, after this controversial ending, there's also an epilogue that it's very interesting and makes the end, the proper end, quite open, I have to say. Like, it's up to you to create the real ending to Danganronpa. You want to believe it's truth, it's a lie, what's real, what's not. It's up to you, and I think it's kind of like a good ending, although maybe I'm not 100% happy because it doesn't guarantee me, at least, a sequel. But sometimes we have to accept that it can, like, let it be over. That's it. This is a great way to go. If we're not going to get another Danganronpa, it's a shame because it's a fantastic series, but I'm very happy with V3. Trying to sum up everything, I think it's a fantastic Danganronpa game. The ending is controversial, sure. I think it's one of those situations you either love it or you don't. You hate it for some reason. I don't think it's worth hating this. It's a questionable decision, sure, but I think that's kind of the point. But I think up until that moment, to me, this game was pretty damn perfect as a Danganronpa game. I mean, as I said, it has some of the best characters, some of the best moments. It has an amazing soundtrack. So, in a way, I want to say, if you're a Danganronpa fan, what else do you need? This is fantastic. So don't let the ending dissuade you from playing this if you haven't. I think it's good, the fact that it makes us think about what happened. At least I did. That's the reason why I didn't do a video immediately. I was still thinking about it. And again, I'm still thinking that it's a bit too much as a decision. But at the same time, at least they did something very different from the previous two, which is, I would say, a pro. So overall, Danganronpa V3, I think if you're a fan of the game, you probably already played it because it's been out for some months now, but for a while actually. If you haven't and you're curious about it, definitely check it out. I think it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I cannot say it's my favorite because I'm not entirely convinced by that ending, even though I don't hate it. I just, as I say, I keep saying, I think they went a bit too far, but if they wanted to end the series, that's a way. That's a surely. There's surely no return from there. You cannot have Danganronpa 4 after an ending like that. So, fantastic game, fantastic ending to a great series. One of my favorites on the Vita. And as I said, if you haven't checked it out, be sure to keep playing the Danganronpa games because they're just amazing. The storytelling is great. The whole theme of hope and despair is great. The characters are fantastic and complex and crazy and over the top. It's such a gem from Japan as a series. That's how I can sum it up as best as I can. It's just a crazy, amazing Japanese not little by now, it's very big, but it's crazy Japanese series. You can have games like this only from Japan, and now I'm desperately looking for my next Danganronpa experience. And I think probably I'm going to try in the future, not now. It's so many games I need to play. I'm going to try the Ace Attorney series. I read that it's one of the closest one to especially the Trials. One of the closest to Danganronpa, and yeah, it may be over, and that's sad. But as I said, what a way to go! So there you have it. These are my thoughts on Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. Definitely let me know if you've played it, what you think about it. If you want discuss about the ending in the comments, be free. If you haven't, be sure to check it out. It's a lot of fun, and there are amazing moments. You need to experience them because I think it's Danganronpa to its best. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Like always, I'll see you next time, and take care.